Namo Shakyamuni Buddha. So today we continue to study about the Eightfold Paths. The second one, the right intention. So we have studied the first items in the right intention, the renunciation or renouncing the bad deeds, bad thoughts, and bad action, forgiving other people mistake. And the next one that we learned briefly last time, and the patient. Now, before I move on, I want to emphasize that in Buddhism, the mind is so critical. The mind is like the driver of the car. If the driver is mindful, he would drive the car safely. Otherwise, if he's mindless, he could drive the car aggressively and dangerously. That may endanger his lives as well as other people. So that's why the first couples categories that the Buddha reminds us that we need to recognize our mind. We need to rectify our mind. That's why we need to have right understanding of life, understanding of the law of cause and effect or karma. What we want for ourselves, we need to do for others. And we need to recognize the three marks of existence: impermanence, sufferance, and non-ego or non-self. And so that's why we need to recognize first. With that kind of understanding, we would enhance our thoughts. We would direct our thoughts in the proper way. That's what we call right intention. Because without right intentions, we may harm other people uh, directly or indirectly. Uh, so that's why right intentions and right understanding should go hand in hand. So uh, last time we discussed about the Buddha teachings about the patient, how to be patient with the conditions and with other people, and we discussed about uh, Santideva verses in his book Buddhism Way of Life. So the first verse, he reminds that if we could not control anger or the good deeds that we have accumulated throughout thousand years, limitless lifetimes, those good deeds may be destroyed by a movement of anger. And so let me I stop here for a while, and I want to share with you a short video clips about how anger harm ourselves and others, how anger in Buddhism is considered as the toxins of the mind. It's so dangerous, and it's so harmful, it's so toxic that we need to transform it. Otherwise, we harm ourselves and others if we could not control our anger. And in these video clips, I don't want to turn on the voice, but you can see the actions of those people that have so much anger that they cannot control their emotion at all. And please remember, sometime in life, we may be one of them. We may burst out uh, that we couldn't control ourselves, and we can damage our properties, and we can harm other people easily. Mm, that's why, in order to live peacefully and happily, the Buddha advises that we need to have some sort of mind controlling. This means we need to control our emotions. And in this passion, in this video clips, this lady, she damaged her laptop because of her emotion, negative emotion. And please remember, sometime in life we uh, could be one of them. That when we cannot control our mind, things go out of hand, and we may harm others, and we harm ourselves. Yeah, so definitely, unless this the boss of the companies, uh, yeah, definitely will be fired from their jobs. Mm. And you can see that those people, um, they have a hot temper that they couldn't control themselves. Um, Probably they may have the bad day. Sometimes they may have problems at home with their family members. And sometimes they may have problems at work with their co-workers, supervisor, and so forth. And no matter what, they still uh, bring the harm to themselves and others. Even when they play the games, even when they are working, even when they deal with other people. So it's not easy. Uh, Even for us as Buddhists, sometimes we practice meditations, but in some moment of our life, and we maybe one of them, and that we burst out and damage our properties, our room, um, and so forth. And of course, most of times, all times, after we broke all those things, we would have regret. Because sometimes it's too late for us to get back the thing that we miss. Mm. So that's why the Buddha said that anger is the toxic of the mind. It's so harmful. Um, and so if we don't know how to control it, if we control our mind, if we control uh, our life. These two gentlemen, they have some problems. They fought each other after playing the games. So this guy, he's so patient, but he could not control his anger at all. So again, you can see that uh, one more thing. So these are the video clips that somehow people could not control their emotion, uh, especially the anger. No matter what happened, uh, if we let anger control ourselves, we torture ourselves, we damage our properties, we harm ourselves and others. One more clip I want to show you about the employees who were fired and he tried to kill his former boss 3 times. It's caught in the news.
Will shock you. After saying you're fired, a boss finds himself running from a knife-wielding employee.
But it gets much, much worse when that employee jumps back in his truck and hits the gas, running over his boss. Local 10's Janine Stanley is live where it all went down in Hialeah tonight. Janine.
Victor Lloyd, police say not only did that employee try to run over his boss twice, but they also say that he took down a fence and then dragged it across the parking lot.
Two men who wanted to settle a dispute the old-fashioned way, I guess.
A fight between a boss and the guy he fired caught on camera. It all started when police say Reynaldo Mendez, a boss at an air conditioning company, fires this man, Osario Reyes, for drinking on the job.
He thinks some money was owed to him, didn't get his money, so he threatened Mendez that he was going to kill him.
So they agree to meet in this Hialeah warehouse parking lot when things take a bizarre turn. Reyes, police say, has a knife.
Victim Reynaldo Mendez tries to kick the knife out of his hand and then runs for his life, is able to pick up a rock, defend himself.
In fact, you can see he messes up Reyes' eye. But even with that, it isn't over. Detectives say Reyes strikes back, getting in his black truck, trying to run his boss over, pinning him to the fence.
The fence saved his life as he bounces off the fence.
Oh no, Reyes isn't done. Cops say he tries to run down his boss a second time as he's dragging that fence behind his pickup truck. As for Mendez, the boss,
He's fine. He didn't even call the police. When it was all said and done, the bad guy fled. The victim drove himself to the hospital, told the hospital he fell off a ladder making some repairs. He had cuts, lacerations, banged up, but not seriously injured. He's recovering, he's in pain, but he's fine. But he got lucky because he could have died 3 times that day.
in fact, in the end, police never even would have known about it had the owner of this warehouse not come back and realized the fence was gone. Take a look. Those are the remnants of it. Police ended up coming out. They saw the surveillance video. Reyes is now being charged with attempted murder.
Okay, you see that. So with the anger, so the fire and Reyes tried to kill his boss 3 times. They tried to use the knife to stab his former boss, and after he fell, he used his truck to run over him. But again, he tried twice, was lucky enough. So his boss have some bruise, not much serious, but still, after reviewing the security cameras, the police caught the 5 employees and charged with the criminals offense. So anyway, so you see that somehow when we in that state of mind, the angry state of mind, we could not control ourselves. So we can use any equipment, any tools, anything that's in front of us, available to us, that we can harm ourselves and harm others. So it's so dangerous for us, it's so toxic for us. And that's why the Buddha say that we need to recognize that type of toxic, and we need to change that toxic into passion. So the next passage or verse, Santideva, he advises us: there's no evil like hatred, and there's no courage like patience. Thus, I shall strive in various ways to meditate on patience. Again, in Buddhist view, there's no evil people, there's no evil person. Evil or not, this depends upon the state of mind. One moment, if the person have a compassionate thought, that person is considered as a good person. Another moment, if he has angry thought or jealous thought, uh, and so forth. So with those type of toxic thoughts, that person may try to harm others, like that employees. that tried to kill his boss. So again, in Buddhist view, we have we need to recognize there's no evil people except evil mind, because the mind it trigger our speech and our action in the wrong way, in the negative way. So that's why Santidevas remind us that we be careful about the hatred, because there's no evil can be considered or compared as hatred or anger. So on the other hand, there's no courage like patience. Why is that? Why patience is considered as courage? Many people they think, oh, when they were criticized, when they were obstructed, when they were oppressed, and if they don't stand up to themselves, or people may um, mm, take advantage of them. So that's why create a circle of animosity, of fighting with each other. So in the personal level, if we could not resolve any problems uh, within ourselves, if we could not solve any problem by ourselves, again, without the patience, we may blow up that situation, that things. We may break things around, we may harm ourselves. So that's why Santidevas say that there's no courage like patience. If we are patient, we have that kind of courage. And if we don't have that kind of patience, we may bring disaster to ourselves. Uh, and uh, so that's why it requires some sort of skill to remain patient. That's why courage is considered as the patient is considered as courage, and that's why Santideva suggests us that we need to meditate on patience. We need to find ways how to calm our mind down. We need to um, recognize that patience is so important in our life. And so let me show you another video clips about the virtue of patience, which is the universal virtue within any traditions.
So, that's reading. Αυτό. Μόλις τώρα στο πατέρας που γιατί είναι. Τι είναι αυτό. Ένα σπουργίτι είναι πατέρα. Ένα σπουργίτι. Σπουργίτι. Τι είναι αυτό. Γιατί το κάνεις αυτό το πράγμα, μπορεί να πεις τόσες φορές είπα, είναι ένα σπουργίτι. Δεν το καταλαβαίνεις. Πού πας.
δυνατά. Σήμερα ο μικρός μου γιος, που πριν λίγες μέρες έκλεισε λατρεία, καθόταν μαζί μου έξω στο πάρκο όταν ένας σπουργίτη ήρθε και κάθισε απέναντί μας. Ο γιος μου με ρώτησε 21 φορές τι ήταν αυτό και το απάντησα και τις 21 φορές ότι ήταν ένα σπουργίτη. Τον αγκάλιασε τρυφερά και τις 21 φορές που μου έκανε την ίδια ερώτηση, ξανά και ξανά, χωρίς να εκνευριστώ, νιώθοντας στοργή για το αθώο μου αγοράκι.
Okay, so you see that with this video clips, the father tried to test out his patient, right? He point out to the birds and asked, "What is that?" So the son replied, "That's a sparrow." And so he tried to ask a few more times. Somehow the son so angry and he burst out and yelled at him. So the fathers patiently went back to the house and got his notebook that he kept for many years. And he showed to his son the part that he had written down when his son's only 3 years old. At that moment, at that time, when his son asked about that kind of birds, the father's replies the sparrow, and the son keep asking in total 21 times. So each time the fathers was patient to respond to his son, that is sparrow, with understanding and compassion for his innocent son. But now he got older, so he tried to test his son patient, but his son burst out that he could not control his anger at all. He was not much patient with his dad. So again, in Buddhism, patience is one of the most important virtues. That is why we pay respect to one Bodhisattva or compassionate Bodhisattva, who hold the vase and the vase of water and the willow branch. Let me show you. Let me show you the image so that you understand what I try to illustrate. So here you can see many of these Bodhisattva image. One Bodhisattva or compassionate Bodhisattva. In one hand, she hold a vase of water. On the other hand, she hold a willow branch, and the vase that's hold water represent the water of compassion, and the willow branch represent the patient. And so the Bodhisattva use compassion and patience to rescue sentient beings. It's like the parents, especially like the mothers, fathers. In that case, the fathers, he was so patient with his son because he felt compassionate toward his son. He loved his son too much that he was patient to respond to his innocent son for 21 times the same answers, this sparrow. And each time he hugged his little son because he know his son is so innocent that he could not understand or remember that's what that type of birth, the spiral. So that type of patient is so important in Buddhist traditions that I have show you some video clips about the Zen master and the lady taken. That could illustrate how we need to look up to those model to practice the patient in our life. Again, without patient, we may lose our jobs. Without patient, we may ruin our relationship with our spouse, our friends, our co-workers, our partners, and so forth. So that's why Buddha and Bodhisattvas, or the holy monks, always advise us that we need to instill patience in our life. So let me go back to the verse that Santideva teaches us how to develop that type of virtue. My mind will not be, let me show you the verse. My mind will not experience peace if it foster painful thoughts of hatred. I shall find no joy or happiness. Unable to sleep, I shall feel unsettled. So again, Santideva point out that as long as we harbor the hatred in our mind, is so painful, uh, physically and mentally. Uh, Definitely, there's no way for us to find any kind of peace, joy, or happiness. And even we couldn't sleep well, our mind couldn't be settled down. Whenever we think about the one that harm us, the one that lay us up, the one that obstruct our way, the one that harm us, and so forth. If we don't let go of that thought, that's harmful thoughts, it's not easy for us to sleep. It's not easy for us to maintain peace, happiness, and joy in our life. And number four, he said, a master who has hatred is in danger of being killed, even by those who, for their wealth and happiness, depend upon his kindness. So he said that again, a master, a teacher, if he hold this anger and hatred in his mind, definitely he may be harmed by others, even the one that depend on his kindness, the one that usually support them. So that's why we need to recognize us when we have that thought, the toxic thought of anger and hatred, everyone may turn against us. It's not easy for us to make friends, to make peace with other people. And so that's why we need to recognize us. When we have that thought and actions, definitely we may stay away from us. They would not like to make friends with us. They may not like to work together with us as a partners, or they may not like to live with us as a spouse, and sibling, and so forth. But it friends and relatives, these hurtens, who drawn by my generosity, they will not trust me. In brief, there is nobody who live happily with anger. So again, uh, as long as we harbor the anger, our friends and relatives, they would not be happy to stay away from us, to stay around with us. And even we try to help them out with our generosity, they may not trust us. So again, in general, no one live happily with anger. So again, as long as we harbor that toxic thought, even we try to help them out, they would not trust us because who knows, with a movement of anger, we may harm them physically and mentally. So that's why we need to recognize us. And again, Santideva reminds us that hence the enemy anger creates sufferings such as this. But whoever assiduously overcomes happiness now and hereafter. So again, is says straightforward that we need to classify angers as our enemies, not the external enemy, but the internal enemy that bring the harm to ourselves and others. Because of that type of toxic thought, we create toxic environment, we create in negative environment of ourselves and others. Uh, and again, it's so harmful, it's so negative that no one like to stay around with us. So that's why whenever we harbor those thoughts, most of the time they would bring the suffering to ourselves. So, and whoever overcome that hatred or anger, definitely they would find happiness now and afterwards. So some people they may say, "Oh, um, I want to show my anger toward the one who oppressed me," and so that type of anger or hatred can be considered as justified. Again, as long as we have that type of thought, it cannot be justified because uh, without thought, it will trigger our harmful actions and speech toward other people, no matter what we say, what we try to uh, mm, uh, uh, mm, defend ourselves with those toxic thoughts. Okay, having found this fear of mental unhappiness in the presentation of what I wish for, and in doing what I do not want, hatred increases and then destroy me. So again, he mentioned that um, um, we know hatred uh, is considered the few that fit the mental unhappiness. Uh, so in it may prevent the things that I want or we want to do or we wish to fulfill or accomplish. Uh, so it may uh, encourage us, it may trigger us to do things that later we may be direct. Uh, and again, he reminds us that hatred increases and then destroy me. So the more hatred, anger we have, easy for us to destroy and harm ourselves. Mm, especially when we harbor the resentment or we try to make revenge to other people before we harm them. We burn our mind, we bring our self suffering first. Therefore, I should totally eradicate the fear of this enemy, for this enemy has no other function than that of causing me harm. So this is so clear that we don't label other people as enemy, whether it's they criminals, that they bad, uh, or they have harmed many people, but we in Buddhist view label the hatred and the anger as enemy. So if we could eradicate them, uh, we could feel the peace and happiness. Otherwise, in this passage verse, Sandy Bigler mentioned that this enemy, the hatred, has no other function except causing us harm, bring in the disaster to us. So again, the state of mind is so important in Buddhism. So that's why we need to be careful of the thought that we have, especially when we harbor this toxic thought of anger. It has no function except causing the harm to us and others. Whatever befalls me, I shall not disturb my mental joy. For having been made unhappy, I shall not accomplish what I wish, and my virtue will delight. Again, so uh, whichever thing happening, we need to maintain the mental joy, the mental stability, because if we allow uh, anger and hatred occupy our mind, uh, we cannot accomplish things that we want to, and definitely our virtue will be declined. Uh, so when we let the anger and hatred thought control ourselves, definitely we may try to express ourselves in a negative way. And most of the time at that moment, we say, oh, I have the right to express my anger um, in action, in speech. Uh, uh, but still, later on, most of the time, we may regret the action when we was angry or the speech we have said something negatively to other people. So why be unhappy about something if it can be remedies? That means that if we can fix the problems, why we are unhappy about this? Because we have ability to change, we have ability to fix the problems, to correct the situations. So why we are unhappy then? So let's say if we fall down on the street or on the road, and after that we can stand up and walk again. So why need to be angry when we could have ability to stand up and walk again? Because uh, we recognize that we have that abilities. Uh, so it's just a state of mind. Just let go of whichever things that obstruct our way, so that we can move on to the next things, move on to the next jobs, things that we want to do. So the next sentence he say, and what is the use of being unhappy about something if it cannot be remedies? That means if something go beyond our abilities to fix that, so why we need to be unhappy about? For example, if um, we're not involved in politics and of course election come along, and if somehow majority of people vote for the candidates that we may not like, but it's still out of our hand. So why we need to be unhappy then? That is beyond our control. So that is the karma of our nation. And that's the collective karmas. So nothing we can do at all. So basically, in this verse, Sandy Deva say that if we can fix the situation, if we can correct the problems, why do we need to be unhappy? Because we have ability to control. We try our best to control the situation. And the other thing is that if If the situation is out of control, beyond our control, our abilities, so why do we need to be unhappy about that? Because nothing we can do. Of course, some people they say, okay, we may protest or demonstrate our views, to raise our voice about injustice, about oppressions. Yeah, that's our abilities. We can do. Uh, but definitely, it's better for us to do in the non-violent ways, to express ourselves and then accord with the law, and then common sense. So we need to raise our voice if there is some injustice, oppressions happening in our country, in our communities. There's some bias and so forth. So this is that's common sense. But we need to remain at peace. Otherwise, we just let our anger control our mind, and again, we may act violently. We may damage other people's properties. We may yell at other people. We may throw the rocks, um, shooting other people, so forth. And in the end, we have to pay for that price. So in this parasha, Santideva reminds us that we need to be patient with the situation. And if we have ability to change the situation, that's great. Just try our best and just remain calm. And if the situation is out of our hand and go beyond our ability to control or correct, just let it be there. Just accept the situation, accept the condition and move on. And so no matter what, in Buddhist view, maintaining the peace and happiness within our mind is so important. Without maintain that calmness and peacefulness, there's no way for us to bring the happiness and joyfulness to ourselves. So that's so critical, and that's why we need to meditate on this virtue, the patient virtue, so that we can implement it in our daily life. So again, uh, the short definition of being patient is mean the ability to accept or tolerate delay, difficulties, or annoyance without getting any anger or upset. So that's why we need to recognize that being patient is so important. Uh, as patient is the way that we treat ourselves in a compassionate way, so that we would not create sufferings on ourselves and others. That's why in psychology they say there's self-compassion. As at first we need to have that kind of compassion toward ourselves, to understand our limitation as human and other people mistake. We would let other people grow um, if they make mistake. So with that kind of understanding, we would forgive ourselves and other much easy and move on to the thing that we want to do. Without that kind of patience, we would act in the violent ways, in that kind of stressful, anxious situations. And the more we dragged in the uh, angry way, violent way, the more sufferings we may bring on ourselves. So that's why at first we need to have the kind of self-compassion, again, to understand that as human, we are imperfect. So time is up today. So let me stop here, and next time we can discuss more about this kind of virtue patience. So again, please remember that this is so important virtue that as much as we apply in our daily life, we could bring the peacefulness and happiness. Otherwise, we could bring the disaster and suffering to ourselves. And Namo Shakyamuni Buddha. And see you soon.